David Cullinane.
Sir O'Cloherty doesn't have to join a party which has a quorum in this House. He's in a party that has principles and stands by the people who are being affected by the savage cuts which are in this budget. Minister, you know full well that there are many families out there who are struggling. You know full well there are many families who are struggling to send their children to school, to put clothes on their back, to put food in their mouths, to put food on the table, to put heating oil in the tanks and pay for the gas bills and the electricity bills. There are many families in negative equity. There are many families who are really struggling to pay basic bills. So we then have to ask ourselves, does this budget make it any easier on those families, or does it make it an awful lot more difficult? And we have to be fair and honest and say that it will make it more difficult for the vast majority of middle income, lower middle income, low income families, and especially people on social welfare, because of the kind of cuts which are in this budget. You, Minister, and your party, as well as Fine Gael, but Labour specifically, went to the electorate and he made some very, very clear pre-election promises, which were solemn, which were unequivocal, and which one of your senators apologised for making, which is that you would not cut child benefit. You said it was a red line issue, which means that it is non-negotiable. But yet you have turned your back on those people who voted for you. And not only on the child benefit, but also the respite grant cut and increasing college fees. Some of those constituents also emailed me, and I want to read some of them. A cut too deep for the most vulnerable in society. Please don't pass it. Hi, I am a mum of 2 autistic boys. My husband passed away suddenly 3 years ago at 39. This cut to the respite grant and children's allowance is going to cripple us as a family. Please help. They're pleading for help from the very people who they voted to protect them and people who let them down. Minister, you said, one of your final speeches as opposition spokesperson for the Labour Party, you said in the Dáil, when Fianna Fáil were looking to cut child benefit, you said child benefit is keeping many families afloat. Child benefit is keeping bread on the table. It is paying the food bills of a significant number of families who have had a massive reduction in their income. Child benefit is, has been and will continue for a long time to be mainly an issue for Mná na hÉireann and their children. And you were right when you said that. But now you come into this House and you ask us as senators to vote for a cut in that very same child benefit. What you said was a protection for the women of Ireland. What you said should not be cut, what should be protected. And again, you have failed those people. Your own former Minister for Health, Junior Minister Roisin Shortall, challenged you across the floor of the Dáil to stop using the word fairness when it comes to this budget, because it is anything but fair. Hear, hear. Senator Keane asked about the alternatives. We have them in our alternative budget. Some of the proposals which were Labour Party policy, the fairy tale economics is coming from the people who are making the bad choices. Our proposals are modest. Our proposals are realistic and are genuine.
The Senator without interruption.
One of the proposals was also a Labour Party policy before they ditched it before the last election. A third rate of income tax of 48% on individual income in excess of €100,000 would have brought in €400 million. That would negate the need for any social welfare cuts at all. So we say to Senator Kelly, we would not cut social welfare. Yes, we would reform it. Yes, we would deal with waste. But we will not cut the incomes of the lowest incomes available to people in this state, and we will not take decisions that put more families into poverty. Not at a time when not 1 extra cent in income tax was sought from higher earners, no wealth tax, no cuts for politicians, but yes, cuts for social welfare. And I know that the Labour Party and Fine Gael have high ambitions for Sinn Féin, and I know that we will do well and maybe we will take seats off the Labour Party in the next election. But what we will not be able to do, by the way, is to win an overall majority in Westminster, where we will be able to set the rates of social welfare which apply in the north. But what we have done is made sure that there is no water charges. We know there is free health and free education in the north. We brought in free prescription charges. We also brought in the Social Inclusion Fund and a Social Development Fund in very, very difficult circumstances. And we are also, by the way, Minister, and you're shaking your head, while there are Tory social welfare cuts being pushed through the Assembly at the moment, very similar cuts to what you and your party are trying to implement, Sinn Féin is standing resolutely against them. And we will not vote for Tory cuts, and we will not support them, whether they come from the Labour Party in this state or whether they come directly from the Tory Party in the North. Our position is consistent. Our position is consistent. We will protect low-income families. We will protect middle-income families.
Thank you,
and
Senator.
unlike Pat Rabbitte, who talks about flags of convenience for those Labour senators who have a conscience, a man who was under more flags, how many parties was he in? Challenging people in the Labour Party and chastising them simply because they were standing by the election pledges
Senator,
that one of them apologised for, and standing by the promises that they gave to the people of this country. Minister, there are families out there who are hurting. There are people on social welfare who are genuinely struggling to make ends meet. And what you are doing is making it worse, but worse than that, you are betraying the very people who voted for you and voted for your party. And for that, you should be thoroughly, thoroughly ashamed.
Thank you, Senator Cullinane. Senator Mark McSherry.